This week on Expedition Texas, we return to Newgulf, Texas to see what's become of the abandoned company town we visited in 2012. Then we're off to Fort Worth, Texas to answer one of our #1 viewer questions once and for all.
Texas is full of lost history, from lost cemeteries to abandoned buildings, from the infamous to the obscure. Hitch a ride and travel across the Lone Star State, looking for hints of Texas' colorful past, our lost history. This is Expedition Texas, and we're gonna find it.
During our first season of Expedition Texas, we traveled to Wharton County to explore the Texas Gulf mining operation, which had closed in the 1980s. Our guide at the time was historian A.C. Shelton. He showed us around the old buildings that remain there.
All the equipment that was in here is gone. It was sold. If it was specialized, they may have had an order to get their parts from here, find it.
So where are we going to go next?
I think we're going to walk around here and show you what's left of the plant. Got the water and the steam to melt the sulfur with. Between the stacks was an actual plant.
And we're about to cross what looks like the railroad tracks here.
Right, and they could bring the locomotive in here and work on it. They could bring supplies in here if we needed to, because we use lime to treat the water for, forever.
So these are the stacks. Any word on how tall these things are? I know we saw them from miles before we came in.
Well, they're 320 feet.
And we can go in here?
You can go in here and see if you want to and look straight up 320 feet. You want to see what it looks like inside one of these stacks that was never used before? Here we go. If you ever needed to, you could come in here, actually climb up to the top of wherever you went to. Here we go, man. If he goes to the top, he's gonna be doing good. Hey, Joe!
Midway is kind of looking a little rough here.
Yeah.
This sturdy so far.
I'm not going.
It's oh, that one's loose. That's as far as I'm going, but I did get to say that I climbed the stacks and there you go. So there you go. Yeah, I'm not gonna try that.
There's the county department. It was administrative. It was first aid, personnel. Everything was in this one building. All the important papers were kept in this vault.
Would these be blueprints for if I wanted to build my own sulfur plant?
They would probably, well, part of it because it was done in so many parts, but these are the blueprints and whatever in here. They could be for any part of the plant.
That is amazing that this is still
just like it was.
Just like it was. Actual plant blueprints still here after all these years. Look at that.
Browning roof. Instrument control panels. Wiring diagram.
1970?
Yes.
7/15 of 70.
But see, we had a plant in Mexico too, and these were some Mexico plants.
Oh, this is... The secretary's going to get mad at you just throwing that up there.
Yes.
I don't like that.
This was called a hard disk.
Wait a minute, this is a hard drive?
Yes, and we could only put 35 or 70 meg on it. Not gig, meg. And every Friday we had to take a backup to the Bowling Bank to put in. See, this was in from 1985, but we was using it for then, but we thought we was in hog heaven when we got these because we could put a lot of stuff in 70 meg. I'm not talking gig, I'm repeating that.
Yeah.
And of course the data processing room was at the other end of the building. But this, you had to open it.
Spin the same as it used to there. That's cool. Never seen that before.
You're too young.
Now, over 10 years later, we've traveled back to Wharton County and to meet up with a new guide to dig a little deeper into the sulfur mining history of Newgulf.
Start of work, and the most dreaded one for the kids that were out running around during the day during the summer getting in trouble is when your parents are coming home.
We're in Wharton County, Texas, some 10 years after coming here in our first season. We've traveled back here to revisit the sulfur mining history of nearby Newgulf. We've stopped into the Wharton County Museum to explore some history of Newgulf with our guide, Michael Potter. Hey, how's it going, Mike?
Good to see you, Bob.
Good to see you too, man. It's good to be back here in Wharton, Texas, and we're near the Newgulf site, and I love that you're kind of waiting for me right here by all the display of the sulfur that came out of the ground in Newgulf out there. Kind of tell me, like, the process of mining sulfur.
So it's a real simple process. German-American, last name of Frasch, developed a method where they had 3 tubes. 2 of them shot hot water into the sulfur deposits, would melt the sulfur, and the sulfur liquefied would come back up to the 3rd tube. And once he developed that, it kind of was a game changer for the process of mining sulfur, and just took off around the world. And Newgulf, for a period of years, was the #1 sulfur producing location in the world, supporting.
I love the things that can be done with sulfur. Like, for example, they have the different bricks and things down here, different examples of how sulfur is found in nature. But talk to me a little bit about what can be done with sulfur. What are all the uses of it? I mean, it's endless, right?
Well, absolutely. During the war years, through the 40s, it was used for ammunition, used for medicine, used for just a wide variety of stuff. So it was a highly profitable business there especially during the war years and right after.
Well, here it is, man, the factory whistle.
Well, it served 2 purposes. I'll get to the second one later.
Okay.
Start of work, start of lunch, end of lunch, and the most dreaded one for the kids that were out running around during the day, during the summer, getting in trouble, is when your parents are coming home.
Oh,
so if we had done anything during the day in this small little town, we knew if they hadn't already called and informed our parents,
right. You needed to be done with it.
Yeah, if you hadn't been uncovered, you better be done with it, because your folks are coming home, and that whistle, I can hear it now. Just looking at it, I can hear it. I can hear it going off right now.
Imagine hearing this thing first thing in the morning and you're still in bed in your PJs. That would be a bad sound to hear. You're supposed to be there. AC showed us this and pointed out a lot of things when we were here last time. Obviously, the rows of houses, the people that worked at the plant. A lot of those were gone then. At the time we came, I believe there were a few.
So all that's left, when they closed the plant, all the wooden houses had to go. So they sold them, they've moved. There's quite a few around the county and other areas. The few houses that are left, they're actually not on here, you can't see, but behind here, they had built sometime, I believe in the 30s, a bunch of smaller 2-bedroom adobe houses.
Yes.
Those are still there. They weren't part of the original site, but they added them on later as we talked about with the sulfur. As everything grew, they had to expand, so they expanded to this area. Those houses are not only still standing, but they've been rehabbed, and now they're being rented out as cottages.
Really?
So, yeah, and it's a unique thing to be able to go back and stay.
And of course, a highlight to kind of wrap up our tour with AC was the schoolhouse. We walked in front of it and checked it out. Obviously, it's still active, so we couldn't go in and wander around. But that's still there now too, right?
Absolutely. 7 years away from being 100 years old. My father went to school there until 6th or 7th grade. I went there, my 2 brothers went there, and now my son's going to start his 2nd grade there again. So 3 generations, and there's some people that even beyond that.
And of course, this area here would be some of the area we went. We were inside this smokestack with AC. In fact, I climbed a little ladder up about that high when we were here before, and we went through some of these buildings and saw some pretty interesting things. What remains out here?
So the smokestacks, of course, they're just built so well that they still stand.
And they just stand.
Yeah, so they'll be there until they fall, and then there'll probably be a mad rush to go and get bricks from there as soon as.
Right. This downtown area with that median, though, that was there still when we came through here last time. The road. Anyway.
Oh, absolutely. There's that's the iconic drive-in. Used to be nice, beautiful palm trees. There used to be an arch of lights across for season greetings, and they would put the Santa Claus and lights and all this stuff. So it was kind of like the centerpiece of the town. And,
Well, let's head out and see what we can see. I know the public areas that we can get to, so let's just kind of see what we can see of Newgulf, this town that built up around this plant mining this sulfur, which was used all over the world. We're in Wharton County, Texas, revisiting our 2012 story on the Newgulf mining town. We first revisited the Wharton County Historical Museum with Michael Potter, and now he's taking us to see Newgulf. Much of the sites we saw in our first episode are now privately owned, but Mike is going to show us some things we missed the first time around.
Well, here we are in what was once downtown Newgulf, Mike, right?
Yes, sir.
It looks like we have like the pad for like a gas station or a service station of some sort behind us.
This was, one of the last functioning gas stations was a Texaco. Our neighbors, the Diaz's, ran it, had a little two-bay garage. They didn't service cars, but they had pool tables and video games on the side.
Oh, cool.
In fact, used to walk down here when I was 8 years old and buy cigarettes from my dad.
Can't do that anymore.
No, sir.
So I see a lot of like pads where there used to be foundations and things like that. Tell me some of your memories growing up out here, man.
I mentioned it to you earlier. So this high wire up here, they used to hang the season's greetings.
Right,
That's when you knew Christmas was around the corner, and grocery store was still there when I was a kid. Used to go and buy bazooka bubble gum and all that good stuff. Bus stop still stands there.
The bus stop is that structure with the
the little
steps
structure is right there with the flagpole on it. It used to be covered, and what we would do is after we got our candy and ice cream and stuff as kids, we'd go over and lay on the top of it, and it was a covering, and because the breeze would come through and you just lay on top and just love life.
It's pretty cool to be walking down what's left of the sidewalk here where I guess you came and played so many times as a kid, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
I love the benches and everything are still here on the bus stop, and somebody's taking care of the flagpole. Still has the flag flying high above us.
Oh, absolutely. I'm guessing the school does. I'm not sure. And they've got their own.
That's awesome. And now, in relation to here, the school is a pretty interesting thing to see. We saw that with AC when we were here before. The school is still around. There's still advertisements out by the road about the school being a great place to get your education. Where is it in relation to where we're standing right now?
So it's back northwest of here, back over in that corner. As we come up on the school here, back on the back corner right here right about where that dead tree is, that was the last house that I lived in before we moved out in about 85 or 86. And
wow.
The house previous to that is only about 4 houses down, so my entire life I walked to school. No buses,
your house was there. It's gone now. Was it like a wood frame house?
Just like all the ones, typical wood frame, 3-bedroom, no central air, no central heating, no central air. The principal, actually, the long-term World War II veteran principal, Mr. Cox, he lived right here, just this side of that tree. So used to have to pass by his house. So if you had a rough day at school, you might catch it twice.
Oh my gosh! Wow. So there used to be houses all out in here then.
Or just imagine houses as far as you could see.
Yeah, and of course, right here close to the elementary school.
Absolutely, built in 1929. Okay, here what we have is Campo Santo, what used to be called the Mexican Cemetery, and was considered one of the most haunted places in Newgulf.
Oh, really?
There were a couple spots by the hospital, but this at one point was all overgrown. I mean, trees were thick out here, and you didn't want to come out here at night. As you can see, a lot of the stuff was just covered up in woods. No one came out, no one took care of it. This, from what I can see, is one of the older ones here, June 29 to August 29. So Emma Luna, just a few months old.
June 7th of 29, August 26th of 29. Wow, an infant right here.
Yeah, the great thing is that the group led by Julio, when they came out and they recognized it, they not only came in and renovated the whole thing, but every year we have a yearly, basically a rededication. Priest comes out, community comes out, kind of like a small gathering of people to kind of honor the people that came here that for so long were forgotten by the residents here. Yeah. Because at the time, keep in mind, this is back again during when everybody was segregated. So probably one of the reasons that it wasn't maintained for as well as it should have been.
Well, Mike, we definitely got to see some things we didn't see the first time we were here at Newgulf. Thanks for showing us around, man.
Hey, man, thank you for what you do. It's every year the story kind of dissipates because there's not enough people around, and I want to thank you for keeping the story alive for the people here.
Sure, man, and of course we've seen a lot of that original footage with AC in this when he was able to show us around. Something to kind of keep those memories alive and a place to come back and see pretty often for someone like you, right?
Oh yeah, it's good to be here.
All right, man, thanks for showing us around.
No problem.
All right.
Thank you.
Next up, Fort Worth, Texas, where we'll answer the #1 question asked by our viewers. A special treat is coming up next.
Bullet.
For the last 8 years, the number one question asked by viewers of Expedition Texas had to do with this little bit right here.
Texas is full of lost history.
That's the intro to this show. You've heard the whole thing earlier, and we've often been asked, who's the voice on your intro? Or, is that Barry Corbin on your intro?
To travel across the Lone Star State.
Well, it most certainly is, and today we're going to check in with one of the most recognizable character actors of both the big and small screen. But first, the man who brought it all together for us. This is another Barry, Barry Rogers, Corbin's publicist and tour manager.
Barry Corbin is one of the most iconic and celebrated character actors of our time. He's been in over 200 movies and TV shows. Even with everything that Barry Corbin has accomplished, all of his film and TV credits, all of his stage credits, he continues with all that momentum. He continues on. And he runs circles around people half his age. He's inspiring. I mean, we could all be so blessed and lucky to be able to do what he's doing at his age when we get there.
Barry Corbin grew up in La Mesa, Texas, and after spending time in New York on stage, he made the move to LA to pursue a film career. His first big role was that of Uncle Bob in Urban Cowboy. Many other roles followed, and Corbin's southern wit and wisdom has been a welcome addition to hundreds of projects spanning over 5 decades. In 2015, Barry agreed to record our voiceover for this show. And now we're traveling back to his Fort Worth home to check in with the star and get an update on his career.
Barry Corbin, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How you doing, Bob? Good to see you.
It's so good to see you again, and I'll tell you that the number one question we get on Expedition Texas now is that Barry Corbin at the beginning of the show?
It's me.
And we love to be able to say, yes, it is. And then sometimes we get them and they're like, who is that on the intro of the show? And we have to say, it's Barry Corbin, and a legendary actor. And, I don't think anybody says Texas better than the voice of Barry Corbin.
Well, I ate a lot of dirt when I was a kid.
Well, I love it, and I love the place you have out here, and I kind of wanted to just check in with you and see how you've been doing. I know that 5 or 6 years ago when we first came and talked to you and recorded the voiceovers for the show, we sat right inside this building here, and a very nervous Bob Malden was like, okay, can you please say this? And I handed you a script, and to be able to have your voice on the show has been such an honor and a privilege, and I'm telling you, it made the show. It sort of sets the stage for what we're going to do, and I appreciate it so much.
Well, thank you.
Barry Corbin's career has brought recognition from groups all over the country. Some of his awards are on display in a room he calls his man cave.
What would you say is one you're most proud of?
That one there. Hall of Great Western Performers.
That's this here.
The one with the guy on horseback.
Who would you say are kind of the Texas Acting Hall of Fame that you've worked with? I know there's been Lonesome Dove and No Country for Old Men, movies like that.
Well, let's see. The last one I saw was Bob Duvall.
Yeah.
I gave him his Hall of Great Western Performers
You did?
award.
That's
yeah.
awesome. Yeah. So you guys worked together in Lonesome Dove.
Uh-huh. And, of course, Tommy Lee, I've known him for years and years.
In between movie and TV roles, Barry enjoys spending time with his wife, Jo, and his dogs. But lately, he's been spending a lot more time with his fans. An Evening with Barry Corbin can be seen on stages all across the country. Barry tells stories, answers audience questions, and signs autographs. You can find tickets to one of these shows at barrycorbin.com. Oh, and before we go, Barry has one thing he wants to tell you.
Hi, y'all are watching Expedition Texas. Gather the kids and the grandkids around and let them learn a little bit about Texas history.
Thank you, Barry Corbin, for all the great movies and TV shows, and for your contribution to Expedition Texas.